My vengeance ends now.
God of War 3 came out in 2010 and had a lot riding on its shoulders. The PS3 had been struggling to find a true system seller, rivals in the form of Darksiders and Bayonetta challenged God of War's hack-and-slash throne, and it was the finale in a trilogy 5 years in the making. After the literal cliffhanger of God of War 2, this series' finale had to pay off any lingering threads and put the final nail in the coffin of Kratos' quest for vengeance. I am of two minds in regards to this story. It's a string of spectacular boss fights and monstrous encounters separated by some easy block puzzles and exploration. Every dramatic moment hits like a tank, but it's also saggy and uneven. Take, for instance, Hades, a god whose power rivals Zeus and Poseidon. He's the second boss in the game, and his death lowers the stakes dramatically as you move on to Helios, Hermes, and Hercules. Had you fought him during your final trip to the underworld, the story would have been a bit smoother. The return of Pandora's box is also a little iffy. It's great seeing it back, and it's great seeing how Kratos' use of the box in the first game is what puts him at odds with Hercules, Kronos, Hephaestus, and Zeus to begin with. And I like every moment with Pandora, even if her voice actress leaves a lot to be desired. But it feels tacked on. Like Pandora doesn't have enough time to properly affect Kratos and make this shift in his character believable. But first and foremost, the goal of this game is to be a satisfying close to the trilogy, and it's got that in spades. This isn't just satisfying, it's one of the most raw and satisfying games I've ever played. I'd go as far to say that it's my favorite game in the genre, and one of my favorite games of that console generation. It's certainly the one I've gone back to the most. A lot of that is thanks to the combat. It's been refined to a T with the new weapons, special items, combat grapple, and the Blade of Olympus as your rage mode, giving you tons of options, tons of enemies to use those options on, and tons of reasons to use everything in your arsenal to clear the mobs. I also love the level design. God of War has always been great in that department, but the entire world feels alive this time around, and it's all connected through the Great Chain. This allows players to build a mental map of the entire game that makes sense and encourages exploration. And the Metroidvania aspects of the weapons and abilities is a nice fit for God of War's style. And how about those boss battles? Each one is oozing with personality and a unique dynamic with Kratos reflected in their dialogue and the general style of the boss. And I could be here all day if I described them all, but I especially love Poseidon, Hercules, and Zeus. None of the boss battles are bad, but Scorpius is a little pointless. And Kronos is a lot of fun, especially when you consider he still has the setting of the first game chained to his back, but it's also insanely easy and silly. So yeah, it has issues with the escalation, the new weapons are great, but two of them feel a little too similar to your primary weapon, and the story is uneven and silly even by God of War standards. But that doesn't change the fact that this is one of the most thoroughly enjoyable and satisfying games I've ever played. I give God of War 3 a 9 out of 10. But that's not the only God of War game to come out in 2010. Next time, I'm tackling the other PSP title, Ghosts of Sparta. I'm Mediocrity4, thanks for watching.